universe is vast, filled with countless stars, planets, and mysteries that defy comprehension. Among these mysteries, few are as terrifying or as fascinating as the xenomorphs, a species of perfect predators born from the darkest corners of the cosmos. Their existence is a testament to the brutality of evolution, a relentless force that shapes life into forms both beautiful and horrifying. This is the story of their evolution, a tale of survival, adaptation, and the unyielding will to dominate. It began on a distant, unnamed planet, a world shrouded in perpetual darkness. The atmosphere was thick with toxic gases, the ground riddled with volcanic fissures that spewed molten lava into the air. Life here was harsh, a constant struggle against the elements. Yet, in this hostile environment, life found a way. The first ancestors of the xenomorphs were small, insect-like creatures, no larger than a human hand. They were scavengers, feeding on the remains of other creatures that had succumbed to the planet's unforgiving conditions. Over millions of years, these creatures evolved, developing traits that allowed them to survive and thrive in their deadly environment. One of the most significant evolutionary leaps came when these creatures developed a symbiotic relationship with a parasitic organism. This parasite, which would later become known as the facehugger, allowed the host species to reproduce in a unique and horrifying way. The facehugger would attach itself to a host, implanting an embryo that would grow and eventually burst forth, killing the host in the process. This method of reproduction ensured the survival of the species, as it allowed them to exploit other life forms for their own benefit. As time passed, the xenomorphs continued to evolve, becoming more sophisticated and deadly. Their exoskeletons hardened, providing protection against the harsh environment and potential predators. They developed acidic blood, a defense mechanism that made them nearly impossible to kill without suffering severe consequences. Their tails grew longer and more muscular, equipped with sharp barbs that could impale or slash their prey. Their heads elongated, forming the iconic, biomechanical appearance that would later strike fear into the hearts of all who encountered them. The xenomorphs' intelligence also evolved, allowing them to hunt with precision and efficiency. They became pack hunters, working together to take down larger prey. Their communication methods, though alien and incomprehensible to humans, were highly effective, enabling them to coordinate attacks and defend their territory. They were no longer mere scavengers. They had become apex predators, the rulers of their dark and deadly world. But the xenomorphs' evolution did not stop there. As they continued to adapt to their environment, they began to exhibit a remarkable ability to incorporate genetic material from their hosts. This trait, known as genetic mimicry, allowed them to take on characteristics of the species they infected. If a xenomorph embryo was implanted in a human, for example, the resulting creature would have a more humanoid appearance, with a bipedal stance and dexterous hands. If the host was a quadrupedal creature, the xenomorph would adopt a similar form, optimizing its body for speed and agility. This ability to adapt and evolve based on their hosts made the xenomorphs incredibly versatile and dangerous. They could infiltrate almost any ecosystem, exploiting the strengths of the local fauna to enhance their own. This trait also made them nearly impossible to predict or control, as their behavior and physical characteristics could change dramatically depending on the host species. The xenomorphs' evolution was not without its challenges, however. As they spread to other planets and encountered new species, they faced resistance from those who recognized the threat they posed. Entire civilizations rose up to fight against the xenomorphs, waging wars that spanned generations. Some species developed advanced technology to combat the xenomorphs, creating weapons and defenses specifically designed to counter their unique abilities. Others sought to study the xenomorphs, hoping to find a weakness that could be exploited. Despite these efforts, the xenomorphs continued to thrive. Their ability to adapt and evolve allowed them to overcome even the most formidable opponents. They became a scourge across the galaxy, a symbol of fear and destruction. Wherever they went, they left behind a trail of death and devastation, their presence a harbinger of doom. One of the most significant encounters in the Xenomorphs' evolutionary history came when they crossed paths with humanity. Humans, with their insatiable curiosity and drive to explore the unknown, were drawn to the planets where the Xenomorphs had established their colonies. Unaware of the danger they were walking into, these early explorers became hosts for the Xenomorphs, unwittingly aiding in their spread across the galaxy. The first recorded encounter between humans and Xenomorphs occurred on a remote planet known as LV-426. A group of colonists had established a settlement there, hoping to exploit the planet's resources. They soon discovered that they were not alone. The Xenomorphs, having already infested the planet, quickly overran the colony. The few survivors who managed to escape brought with them tales of a terrifying new species, one that seemed to be the perfect killing machine. News of the Xenomorphs spread quickly, and humanity soon realized the extent of the threat they faced. Governments and corporations scrambled to develop strategies to combat the Xenomorphs, but their efforts were often in vain. The Xenomorphs' ability to adapt and evolve made them a formidable foe, one that could not be easily defeated. As the conflict between humans and Xenomorphs escalated, both sides began to learn more about each other. Humans studied the Xenomorphs, hoping to find a way to exploit their weaknesses. They discovered that the Xenomorphs had a hive-like social structure, with a queen at the center of each colony. The queen was the primary reproductive unit, laying eggs that would hatch into facehuggers. Destroying the queen was seen as a potential way to cripple a Xenomorph colony, but doing so was no easy task. The Xenomorphs, in turn, began to adapt to the tactics used by humans. They developed new strategies for hunting and defending their colonies, often using their environment to their advantage. They also began to exhibit more complex behaviors, suggesting a higher level of intelligence than previously thought. Some researchers even speculated that the Xenomorphs were capable of learning and problem-solving, traits that made them even more dangerous. The war between humans and Xenomorphs raged on for decades, with neither side gaining a decisive advantage. The Xenomorphs continued to spread, infecting new planets and species, while humans struggled to contain the threat. It was a war of attrition, one that tested the limits of both species' resilience and ingenuity. In the end, it was not a military victory that brought an end to the conflict, but a deeper understanding of the Xenomorphs' nature. Researchers discovered that the Xenomorphs were not mindless killing machines, but a highly evolved species with a complex social structure and a deep connection to their environment. They were not inherently evil, but simply following their instincts to survive and reproduce. This realization led to a shift in how humans approached the Xenomorphs. Instead of trying to exterminate them, some began to explore the possibility of coexistence. They sought to understand the Xenomorphs' role in the ecosystem and to find ways to mitigate the threat they posed without resorting to genocide. It was a controversial approach, one that faced significant opposition from those who saw the Xenomorphs as an existential threat. Despite the challenges, this new approach began to yield results. By studying the Xenomorphs' behavior and biology, researchers were able to develop new methods for controlling their spread. They created synthetic pheromones that could disrupt the Xenomorphs' communication and reproductive cycles, effectively neutralizing their ability to form new colonies. They also developed advanced containment protocols, allowing them to safely study and interact with the Xenomorphs without risking infection. Over time, the relationship between humans and Xenomorphs began to change. While the Xenomorphs remained a dangerous and unpredictable species, they were no longer seen as an unstoppable force of destruction. humans learned to respect the xenomorphs' place in the universe, recognizing them as a product of the same evolutionary forces that had shaped their own species. The xenomorphs, in turn, continued to evolve. As they encountered new species and environments, they adapted in ways that were both fascinating and terrifying. Some colonies developed new forms of communication, using bioluminescent patterns to convey complex information. Others evolved new physical traits, such as wings or enhanced sensory organs, that allowed them to exploit new niches in their environment. The story of the xenomorphs is far from over. They remain one of the most enigmatic and feared species in the universe, a testament to the power of evolution and the resilience of life. As long as there are new worlds to explore and new species to encounter, the xenomorphs will continue to evolve, adapting to the ever-changing landscape of the cosmos. In the end, the xenomorphs are a reminder of the complexity and diversity of life in the universe. They are a symbol of the endless possibilities of evolution, a force that can create both beauty and horror in equal measure. Whether they are seen as monsters or marvels, the xenomorphs are a testament to the enduring power of life to survive, adapt, and thrive in even the most hostile environments.